G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now, if you love me as much as I love you, then you know what to do. I want you to mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Crocodile Dundee. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down to the comments. Now, with that out of the way, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good content. Now this one's from New York. My work's fun committee ignored reasonable request. HR told me to pound sand. Okay, so to begin with, I am fully aware that what happened to me is not like a world-shattering thing. I've been told multiple times I'm making way too much of this. I get it, this is not the end of the world. So I am the quiet person at work. I don't like to be involved in conversation or socialization. I hope I'm not overtly unfriendly, but I'm not there to make friends. I just want to do my work and go home. Almost all of the rest of my office, about 40-ish people, are big, loud, friendly, chatting constantly, which I admit drives me nuts. It's a constant distraction and our work is complicated. But I can deal, it's not the end of the world. I don't celebrate my birthday at all. My friends and family know not to even bring it up around me and to completely leave me alone this time of the year. I have very personal reasons for this that I don't want to get into, because absolutely nobody needs to have that deep of personal information about me. At my office is a fun committee. They do exactly what it says on the lid. They are constantly planning fun things for the office to do, like potlucks and various casual days or whatever. I have politely declined to take part in almost all of the things that they have come up with because again, I'm not here to do silly word puzzles about St. Patrick's Day. I'm here to get my job done and go home. Also, mandatory fun is anything but I keep that to myself. I don't want to appear cold or unfriendly, I just want to be left alone. The fun committee very recently began doing big huge things for birthdays. Cakes, balloons, singing happy birthday, things like this. And as soon as I realized that my birthday is on file, I took the head of the fun committee aside and told her that I do not celebrate my birthday, and to please completely skip mine. I did not even want as much as an email, just ignore it completely. She asked me why, and I explained that it was an extremely personal thing, and I was not interested in sharing extremely personal things in a professional environment. I sent an email to the fun committee as a whole, reiterating my request, I hope politely. I was assured that my birthday would be skipped. They gave me a surprise party instead. I came to work, my desk was completely covered in balloons. They sang happy birthday to me the second I stepped into the door. They cheered and laughed and slapped me on the back, and the head of the fun committee congratulated herself for making sure that I was not left out. I was so upset that I had to sit in the bathroom for almost half an hour, and then I went home early. I couldn't face any of them. I felt humiliated and ashamed and infinitely depressed. I want to quit on the spot, but I need this job. The next day, I went to HR to make a complaint. The HR rep basically told me that I was making a big deal out of nothing, that I should just be happy my office was willing to be so inclusive, even though I'm so shy. He also asked me why I don't celebrate my birthday, and when I again refused to explain, he said something along the lines of, well, it can't be that important, and invited me to feel free to talk with him any time that I had a real complaint. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know what my next step should be. Is this a personal request/preference, or is this a triggering event due to past trauma or something? Because if it is the latter, you need to tell them that you have a condition and are requesting a reasonable accommodation for that condition before they're obligated to act on it. Wouldn't he be able to claim a religious request? He could claim his faith doesn't celebrate anything including birthdays. Religious requests have to be genuine. You can't just make something up. But if the OP really did have a religious objection to birthdays, then simply skipping the birthday celebration at work would seem to be a reasonable accommodation. And are you diagnosed with an anxiety disorder or anything of the sort? I have been diagnosed with PTSD. That's the limit I'm willing to share. I am not willing to share this with my place of business. I understand that my refusal makes it functionally impossible for me to basically do anything about this, but that's where I am. Thank you. Completely understandable. You need to give your HR in writing a request for a reasonable accommodation to be excused from any future surprise parties, and not to be required to attend non-business related social gatherings. Your HR doesn't need to know that you have PTSD, but they do need to know that you're requesting a reasonable accommodation to be excluded from those activities. If you request it and they still don't allow you, escalate to ADA. I understand. Before I do anything else, I'm going to give myself a few days to cool off and take some PTO. I do not want to say or do anything rash or stupid. Are you currently seeking treatment for coping mechanisms? Anything like therapy or medication? No, I'm not. After my diagnosis, I pretty much shut down. I did try both therapy and psychiatry, and it didn't work so well for me. I have severe issues with trust, which made discussing anything pertinent basically impossible, and any medication I was prescribed I just didn't take, because severe trust issues. I'm also deeply afraid of being labelled crazy. Getting that diagnosis felt like death. I was terrified people could tell that I was broken, just by looking at me. Crazy means monstrous in this country. It means bad things waiting to happen. That's not me, and I don't want anyone thinking that about me. Yes, I know, I make it impossible to help me, I know. And now, update. My Works Fund Committee ignored reasonable request, HR told me to pound sand. New York. A lot has happened over the last 10 days. I realized shortly after making my initial post that my life as it is has become unsustainable. I cannot live like this anymore, and I mean that literally, because this realization came to me just before I hurt myself very badly. I was sitting in my bathtub, and it suddenly struck me that I was so completely prepared to just stop living because I was too scared to find help. So I went and found help. I took all of last week off, and with my ex-husband's help, I found a good, understanding, and very, very patient therapist. I've also made an appointment to see a psychiatrist to see what medication options are open to me. When I finally went back to work, I took the head of fund committee aside and I talked to her. I explained to her that I have PTSD and some very severe anxiety issues, and I apologized for not being more clear to her when I asked her not to do anything for my birthday. And she cried. She wept openly and apologized. She told me she thought I was just shy, that she was just trying to help me fit in, and she never intended to do anything hurtful to me. Then I spoke to my manager, and my workspace is being moved to a far, less populated part of the building, where I can just quietly do my work and be left alone. It is literally all I have ever wanted. So the moral of this story was, fudging talk to people about your crap before it gets so bad that you feel like you have no choice but to die. Apparently. Thank you. OP, I am very happy to hear this. Good on you and best of luck in the future. That was very deep, but I hope that anyone that needed to hear that got some closure from that story. Anyway guys, we're on to our next story now. I was fired for not coming into work with 5.5 hours notice sent at 3:30 a.m. This happened in San Antonio, Texas. So at 3:30 a.m. today, my boss texted me to come into work at 9 a.m. I was asleep and I didn't check my phone until 3:30 p.m. I responded by saying that I was asleep when I got his text, and if I had been awake, 5.5 hours is not enough time to sleep before a day of work, which is an 8.5 hour shift. I also asked him to please start giving me 24 hours of notice before work. He never posted a schedule, only texted me at most 2 days before he needed me to come in, though often less than a day's notice. I was never once on call. I was a part-time W-2 employee, I think because tax deductions are on my paycheck, though I was never given a W-4, though I always drew my paychecks from the folder labelled contract labour. I was employed from the 30th of the 7th until the 11th of the 11th, today. As I understand it, the Fair Labour Standards Act says employers need to give at least 24 hours notice before work, but I am in an at-will employment state, and nothing I can find online tells me whether or not this federal act applies here. Is there grounds to sue for this? Edit, someone also mentioned to me this might count as retaliation. Is that true? So, the moderator on this one says, the question has been answered and there is apparently a brigade of people who have no idea what they're talking about. Thread locked. And this is one of the only replies on this one, so I'm guessing this is the answer. File for unemployment. You don't really have grounds to sue, but you are almost certainly eligible for unemployment. Also, double check your pay stubs and hang on to them. If you were improperly classified as a contractor, you may need to contact the IRS. After firing me today, would he have to send me to the 1099 now, or wait until January? Also, does this count as retaliation? You'd get the 1099 at the same time you get a W-2, so the beginning of 2020. But you said payroll deductions are listed on your pay stub, but you never filled out a W-4 when you were hired? This is really interesting. The W-4 is how they would determine what amounts to withhold. So I wonder what they based it off. You need to find out if you're a contractor or an employee. The reasons that you were fired led me to think that you definitely were an employee. File for unemployment as an employee right away, because this all may cause a delay in your benefits beginning if you were classed as a contractor, but you weren't actually an employee. And there you go, that's the end of that one, guys. And now on to the next story. Kid reached over the wall and filmed my daughter while she was crying in a bathroom stall at school in the 6th grade in Texas. The kid then posted the video to social media. That happened about 2 weeks ago. It was initially pushed down to a guidance counselor as a friends issue. My wife went to the school about a week ago because the issue had yet to be resolved. A group of girls was still picking on our daughter. Since then, one of the assistant principals conducted an investigation. The girl that did the recording is still running around the campus with her phone, and now our daughter is labelled a snitch and bullied even more because of the way the school has handled it. Needless to say, we're a bit pissed. Our daughter won't be going back to that school. We're not really sure what to do next. Do any of you fine folks out there have any advice on a way ahead? Edit, forgot to mention 2 important details. The kid that did the recording, she admitted to doing it in a written statement to the school. She denied posting it to social media, but other kids have told our daughter they saw the video posted on Musical.ly. Our daughter has a 504 plan for anxiety and PTSD. Find out who your district 504 director is and let them know what is going on and that you want this resolved. Go over your principal to the superintendent. Also, file a police report. If nothing else, you will have that as a part of your documentation. Thanks. Nailed down the 504 director. We'll make contact this morning. Is the school board aware that the principal considers students filming other students in bathroom stalls without their knowledge to be a friends issue? I'm not sure who outside the school knows yet. Trying to figure out the best way to let the right folks know without being ignored as an overreacting parent. If your child has a 504, you have a more direct route to help. Contact everyone whose name is listed on the 504 plan, tell them what happened, and report the content to the administration of any website that it's posted on. Press charges on the girls who participated. The school may not be able to do anything, but y'all are not without recourse. Alright, I'm gonna apologize. I think that's how they dealt with it. That's a very good plan to go about it. They didn't put an update to this one. They just have an Ask Reddit thread asking, what's so novel about coronavirus? So on to the next post that does have an update, I'm sorry. And our next post, in California. I was fraudulently registered to vote. Might get deported. Help. So I am a member of a college political organization. The president of the club has been super intense on everyone being registered to vote, and has been writing me hard about it. Now the problem is, I'm a permanent resident. I'm not a citizen, and I know I'm not allowed to vote. I've never represented myself as a citizen or made any attempts to vote. I know it's super illegal and a deportable offense. I recently found out that the president has registered me to vote. She submitted the application for me and didn't understand why I started crying when she told me. I had not told anyone about my status because I didn't think it was in any way relevant to the work we were doing. We mostly hang out and talk politics, and occasionally host speakers. What can I do now? I have an appointment with the immigration non-profit next week, but I'm freaking out now. I have my green card renewal coming up soon. Contact the police to make a report, then notify the California Secretary of State. Save a copy of the police report for the immigration purposes. Police report for forged registration, ASAP. Did she admit in writing to registering you? Try to discuss with her via text or email why this is a problem for you, and hope she admits it in writing. Otherwise, it would be easy for someone to claim you registered yourself into trying to pass the blame. You may want to try to get a free consultation with an immigration lawyer or two. Take a deep breath. You're taking appropriate action by contacting a competent licensed attorney specializing in immigration. You should only accept advice from an attorney, as opposed to folks on here who may not be licensed or familiar with California immigration law. They will advise you on appropriate curative action, which may not involve narking on your friends. President will be looking at serious jail time for this. Unbelievably stupid. You should be good as long as you file a police report, since you did not commit any crimes. Now update, I was fraudulently registered to vote, might get deported, help. California. Hey there. So I lawyered up. A huge thank you to the legal aids and non-profits. It made it a lot easier. Police report was filed, and the registration has been retracted as fraud, pending investigation. I have the president of the club admitting to it in email because she freaked out when I told her my lawyer would like to have a word about the situation. She said, "I wouldn't have registered you to vote if I had known you were a frickin' illegal." All communication was given to police. My lawyer contacted USCIS and explained everything and provided the police reports. And they said they should be kept informed, but they were taking no action as of now. My attorney isn't worried as fraud is well documented. So that's about it. No deportation. And all of this has led me to finally apply for citizenship. Woohoo! And now, second update. I just wanted to let everyone know that everything turned out fine. The club president was prosecuted. I should have found it suspicious that the club was extremely friendly and insistent that I come to their meetings. Looking back now, I was their token brown person for the couple meetings I attended. But hey, free food. USCIS didn't give me a hard time about it, surprisingly. My lawyer was awesome and fully reported everything and documented everything. Having an email from the club president admitting to it was great. I have sailed through the citizenship process and will be taking my citizenship oath in a couple of weeks, finally ending my immigration journey. And for the dozens of people that messaged me slurs and told me to kill myself, screw you. I'm gonna have a great life here and I'm never leaving the US. Die mad about it. And final update. California, I took my citizenship oath and I registered to vote that very night online. So that's it for my immigration journey and fear of deportation. I haven't kept up with what happened to the president of the club once I took my oath, to be honest. I can't offer any juicy resolution there. My attorney was the one to update me on that situation, but once my naturalization happened and USCIS was permanently off my back, my pro bono attorney dropped off the map. Which is totally fine because legal aid attorneys are probably drowning in cases and I wasn't a priority anymore. So please consider donating to a local legal aid. They work so hard. So that's it. I'm here to stay. Thanks for all the support and kind messages sent my way. It's definitely balanced out the death threats and kill yourself messages. And our last post, Ohio. Cop blocking my driveway and harassing me and my wife. Hi Legal Advice. So here's some backstory. Me and my fiance moved into this new place back in April. We've been living here since then. The town I live in is incredibly small and has only around 150 to 200 people, maybe more. The cops around here are notorious for pulling people over. There is a major highway that runs between here and Cincinnati. They are most always out on that road because the city jurisdiction extends across that highway. They almost are never monitoring what's happening in town. Fast forward until now. There's a cop sitting at the four-way in the middle of town that my fiancée has passed. She works with horses and drives a truck that's kinda loud. She was pulled over in our driveway for this exhaust issue. She took the loud exhaust ticket, paid it, and we put a new exhaust that helped quiet down the truck. All is good, right? Nah. Now, this guy knows where we live. He drives by all the time and he knows when my fiancée leaves for work. He follows me now in my 2010 Honda Civic. It's a completely legal car, no real reason for him to be following me. All the time as I do the speed limit, pay my taxes and abide by the law. There is an abandoned house across the road where he will sit and clock people. However, it's right across from our home. Today was the last straw. When my fiancé was leaving for work, we was headed in from town from picking up our cat from the vet. He was sitting at the four-way stop sign in town. He sees us and makes eye contact with us, and then as I'm almost home, begins pulling out. My fiancé needed to go to work, so I decided to let her use my car, so that way there was no risk of her being pulled over in her truck, even though we fixed the exhaust like he asked. On her way out, he sees her leaving and pulls up and blocks the driveway, not allowing my fiancé to leave. He sits there for about a minute and then drives down the road a bit, waiting for her to pull out so he can stop her. She calls me and says she's afraid to leave, so I tell her to stay for a bit. He eventually pulled off and pulled over another loud truck. Here's the kicker. My Ring doorbell has the entire occurrence of him blocking our driveway on camera. I've saved a copy to my phone storage. What can we do about this? This is clearly harassment, and this guy doesn't let up. It's a shame when I'm fearful to leave the privacy of my home because this guy's following us around in an unusual way. Is there any way I can make a city complaint against him to get him to stop? I only fear that this will make things a lot worse. Cops are meant to protect and serve, not harass and observe. Feeling lost here. Could anyone give me some useful advice? Thanks. Sorry for the long post. Want to make sure this doesn't get bogged down in a local small town department? Have an attorney write a letter to the police commissioner and CC the state attorney general. This type of bullying needs a harsh smackdown in the form of embarrassment amongst departments. Call the highway patrol and ask for help. I will try that now. Thanks for the advice. Would actually suggest contacting the local sheriff's office or the SBI. Highway patrol would not have jurisdiction. It's harassment and stalking as far as what I'm gathering from you, which doesn't sound like much, but is acceptable for someone in this profession. Ohio State Highway Patrol has jurisdiction when it comes to investigating other departments, so they would in this instance. Edit. Holy wow, this blew up. Thanks for the silver kind, stranger. I received so many messages, so if I don't reply to your message, I'm really sorry. I will go through and reply to as many as possible. I have received so much amazing information on this post since I made it. Unfortunately, it is a holiday today, and I'm going to try spending today with friends. I am, however, going to follow up tomorrow with the police department and see if we can't figure this out. No updates or callbacks as of yet. I'll keep everyone posted. As of 31st of November at 3:40 PM EST, I have called about filing a complaint with the police officer in question. I have yet to get a callback. I'll update everyone here when I get a callback, if I do. Spoiler alert, there is no update to this post, so that's an unfortunate reality, but we're gonna guess that all went well and life is good now. Anyway guys, I hope you had a good night, day, sleep, whatever you're up to. This has been Markee. I want to know what we're doing down in the comments. What did you think about all these stories today? What is your opinion? You got any more legal advice to throw out there? Just chuck it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you haven't already, there's 70% of you that watch these videos that haven't subscribed, so you might as well click that button. It'd be a good time. I love your faces, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.